All right, so we are calling to order the library trustees meeting at 6:13 after some technical difficulties. The first thing I was going to say, Beth, is we were just kind of chatting before you popped on. In the agenda, we were planning to discuss the MBLC meeting that we had and the next steps on that. Given that we have a shorter time frame for this meeting tonight because another meeting's starting, we're going to table that till next month because I think it's more pressing that we discuss Bob's retirement and the recruitment for next. Oh, you were in last month's meeting. Did you? Oh, Bob's retiring.
I must have missed last month.
You did, yeah. So Bob's retiring. So we're gonna. We had in trustees concerns that we would talk about kind of what the steps are to take in recruiting and hiring a new library director.
I did send some emails, Beth.
Yeah, he sent out some emails today.
I did see them real quick, but I didn't get a chance to look at them. So I apologize.
Yeah, no problem. You could look those over. I sent also my job description, so you guys know what I do. Or know what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah.
I'm sure you probably do more than you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They cover all the bases. Yeah.
Also discuss that I'm going to be stepping down in May.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I know.
Is it me? No, I'm just kidding.
No.
I join and you're both leaving.
This happens to be. Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere yet.
Unfortunately, my husband's ill, and I'm just not sure what the future is going to bring. So I'd rather not commit for another 2 years.
Of course, understandable.
I did say that I would be happy to help with the search, or I mean, if it goes beyond my time, I mean, I'm able to do that. So
thank you, Linda. That's very good.
So
you've done a lot, so thank you.
Oh, thank you.
You have, Linda.
all right, let's jump into last month's minutes. Everybody got a copy?
Yes.
And do we have any questions, concerns, corrections?
No.
I have none.
Okay. All right, then I will move to accept them as submitted.
I second.
All right. A roll call vote to accept them as submitted. Lynette Wheeler, I approve. Beth Christensen,
I approve.
Linda Yates.
I approve.
All right. Approved, accepted as submitted. I'm going to move on to Bob's director's report.
Okay. So last week, Lynette and I did meet with the financial committee, and I think it went pretty well. Hard to tell. They really didn't have any. They had a few questions, but they didn't make any pronouncements. But happily, the police department was on just before us, and Eric Shartner agreed to let us go first since they were likely to take a little bit longer than the library. So I very much appreciate that. I thought we would be there, for quite a while since we were, on the agenda after the police department. They had a few new FinCom members. So what I do is I just try to, inform them about the process that we start at averaging the last 3 years appropriation and adding 2.5%, and then we see what we can do from there. And there was a new chairperson for the FinCom. Everything seemed a little more official. They were filming the meeting, which in the 10 years I've been here, they've never done that before. The town accountant attended, town administrator. So it was pretty full meeting. I wish some of the members of the FinCom introduced themselves because I really didn't even I didn't know everybody. But in any case, I think we got our point across, right, Lynette?
I'd agree with that, yeah.
Yeah, and they did, we did get an email this week that Lynette had mentioned about our capital request for general repairs for $5,000, and that they would like to add that to the facilities budget, since they are really overseeing the maintenance of all the town buildings.
So the highway department, Beth, they're looking at,
Highway is our, de facto facilities. So there was a
Good, so
little
they're gonna-
discussion around maintaining the buildings and who's responsible, and
Good.
They did have some questions regarding that. Or I should say the chairman of the trustees did have some questions. But I think either way they want to handle it, as long as they're aware that we're in a 95-year-old building. That's the important thing. And what we've been trying to do. I didn't want to get too much into, what our plans are, but I think I did talk about it in a general way. Our limitations in the building, and that the building has served the town for so many years, and that it's time for the town to return,
Nice.
some
Yep.
TLC to the building, or decide if it's time to, go and have a new library building. So I just try to make them aware.
Mhm.
Sometimes I feel, like we're a little bit off to the side as the library. And
So Bob, I'm sorry to interrupt.
yes,
So would
No.
you maybe be making a list of things that they should be doing?
yeah,
I don't know, like the general maintenance as opposed to, you
yeah.
know,
I
like we
have
had
a,
to
I
paint
have a
it.
spreadsheet with
Okay.
with all of the items that should be looked into and when they
Mhm.
were last done. Say when the
Oh,
roof
nice.
was last done, or yeah.
Okay.
And, I did meet with Fred Cummings from the Highway Department Director.
Yep.
And we did talk about these things.
Okay.
And I brought it up at the meeting that I had met with Fred, but we're just not sure how the financial committee want to handle expenses that we have regarding building maintenance.
Okay.
If they're going to do it, when I started here, we had items set aside. Say we were replacing windows, we had started to, and we had to ask for capital monies for that. Because if
Okay.
we use money from our appropriation, then that money, 20% of that money has to be spent on library materials. And so what would be a capital item for us, $5,000? They set a limit of 10,000 for any capital item, but our budget is just 2.5% of the town's entire budget. So we're a low budget item.
Right.
And so we can't handle that as a part of our appropriation, because we need to look at what we need to do to stay certified. So I'm trying to impress these things on the FinCom. Some of them are aware. I know the town administrator is aware, because
Good.
she did work in another town and she
Mhm.
did deal with library issues there. So
Okay.
pretty comfortable that they get that. So that was the main thing. I don't know if you have any questions about my report. We are going to share this new online homework product called Brain Fuse with Boylston. And, I think it's a great thing that we can offer, and we'll be able to track statistics on people, how the usage goes. The main thing is just getting the word out. I think I talked a little bit about it last time.
I remember.
Yeah.
The only thing I was going to touch on that was on the director's report is the reminder that the annual report is due at the end of
Yes.
this month. So if you could get me the numbers that are usually at the end of it, if you look at last year's
Yeah.
report, just let me know what the new numbers are.
I will.
And
Yeah.
then I will forward last year's report to you guys, Linda and Beth, so you can kind of see what we said, like what we write up. If you have anything you'd like to add, just reply back, and I'll put together a draft, and then I'll send that back out to you guys. and see if you guys have any feedback or anything to add or change before we
Yeah.
submit it.
I usually just send Lynette a list of who are the staff, what our appropriation was. The
Yeah.
American Library Association have a calculator where you can calculate the value of the materials that were circulated from your library. So it's just kind of a cool thing where, you're showing the public what was appropriated and then what the value is if they had to purchase, say, the
Right.
10 books that they had borrowed from the library. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Yes, Linda.
So
just,
I
just
just wanted,
send her a few things like that.
oh,
Mhm.
sorry.
That's
just
okay.
wanted to request from Lynette, when you send us the information for us to review, can you just email us at our other email or text us or something just to
Yeah,
alert?
I'll let you know when I send it, so you know to check.
Because I
the
don't
trustee.
normally check Gmail, and I know that we only have a couple of weeks. So
Okay.
I don't
Have I
want to,
been sending it to the wrong address?
No, you're sending
Oh,
it to
okay.
the right one.
To the trustees one?
Yeah, she just doesn't check the trustee one as frequently.
Oh, I got you.
so if I
So you
just,
want me to send it to both?
yeah, if I just get an alert that says,
Yeah,
Check-
I'll text you.
check your Gmail, then I'll know to go into my
Oh,
Gmail.
yeah.
to do it,
Oh, okay, sure, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I wrote myself a note,
Okay, thank
so
you.
I'll let you know once I
Great.
send it.
So I think that's all I really need to talk about in terms of the director report.
Oh my gosh,
Okay.
excuse me.
I will move to accept the director's report as submitted.
I'll second.
Right, a roll call vote to accept the director's report as submitted. Lynette Wheeler, I approve. Beth Christensen,
I approve.
Linda Yates.
Approve.
All right, accepted as submitted unanimously. And moving on to the financial report.
All right, so we're halfway through the fiscal year. And our spending is a little bit below what we would hope, which should be a 50%. And but I do plan, we have been ramping up purchases, and I haven't done any electronic material purchases yet this year. So I will be doing some of those. I already talked about the capital. We just had the one item, the $5,000. It will have to be decided at some point coming into the next fiscal year about the 50,000 that was given as a matching if we did apply for the grant, because the grant system has changed now. So we may just want to return that monies to the town.
Okay,
And, I mean, my retirement comes at the kind of, that's at the end, right at the end, just before the end of the fiscal year in June. I'll be retiring at the end of April. So hopefully we'll have someone, to start as a new director, and I can go over a lot of this stuff with them. If they've worked in another town, then they're going to be aware. But also there's just, how the spending is and what they need to spend to meet all the requirements
right.
Okay.
for certification. So, yeah, I mean, that was one thing the former director here did go over, even just what it takes to pay a bill in a municipality, there's just a system,
Mhm.
how to work through that and be introduced maybe to some of the other town officials so that they know,
Right.
yeah. But in terms of this month's, our 6 months, we're in good shape, and we still have money. So I think we're gonna make it through the rest of the year. And yeah,
Sounds good. Does anybody have any questions about the financial report?
I did not.
No. Okay. And then I will move to accept it as submitted.
I'll second.
Go ahead. Okay. A roll call vote to accept it as submitted. Lynette Wheeler, I approve. Beth Christensen,
I approve.
Linda Yates.
I approve.
All right, accepted as submitted unanimously. Excuse me.
Thank you.
All right, and so we're gonna table our old business, which was the MBLC meeting, to next month. So we can devote some more time to the conversation about recruitment, job posting, what's required of us, and such. So Bob, I'll let you.
Yeah,
take
I
it
don't
away.
know. I mean, I guess the first thing to do is, put together a posting. And the personnel committee needs to approve that posting before we post it. So I think it might be a good idea if you reach out to the personnel committee and the town administrator and maybe also the treasurer to see to how, to just let them know that you're begun your search and your worldwide search, I'm sure.
Right.
And that you're aware of some of the steps, but you want to make sure that you're, following whatever protocol. Seems to change sometimes without my being totally aware of it. But anyway, the posting itself, is just very basic in terms of, you usually make the job description available. So it should be somewhere on the town website so that they can look at the posting, and if they're interested, look and see what the job description says.
Okay.
And,
I think that sounds like the first step should be to talk with the personnel committee
yeah,
administrator and just understand what the process is and what's the role of the personnel committee.
yes,
Sort of get a sense of, and then what's, as Bob said, what's required for the posting and so forth. So I think that should probably be the first step.
right.
I don't know
I
how.
mean, I sent you one posting just because it was a town of a similar size.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that was helpful. But again, I
Right.
think talking with them first would probably be
yeah,
a good idea. So how do we do that, and who should do that?
you
We
can
all
just email them.
And ask for a meeting? Or,
It depends how you want to handle it. If you wanted to meet with them, I don't know if it's necessary, but the personnel committee don't meet all that often.
who's
So,
the chair of the personnel committee, do you know?
I'm
Could
not
probably
100%
find it.
sure.
I'm sure it's on the My Town Government website.
I was gonna say it's
Uh,
probably on the website somewhere.
Yeah, so I think they
Yeah,
meet once a
can-
month.
I can email Kristen
Okay.
Yeah,
and ask her
yeah, I think that would be a good idea. Just to, yeah.
when should we start the posting? Like, is there a time frame? Like, is it usually only up for 30 days? Should it be up
Yeah.
sooner rather than later?
30 days is a standard, but you can always, what I like to do is just say open until the position is filled or something like that.
Right.
Okay.
That's-
You can,
Should-
it depends, like, if you're not getting applicants, you're not getting very many, or you're just not getting the type of applicants that you want. You
yeah.
may
should
want to
we-
keep it open longer, so you can
Right.
make it a little more open-ended. But
In
it
the
doesn't really
posting-
matter. I mean, you can set a 30-day timeline, and then you can extend that if you need to.
Yeah,
think-
no,
Mm.
I'm just trying to figure out whether we want to get it out there fairly
Sooner or
quickly. Should
later,
we wait
yeah.
till like the end of February,
Right.
March? Like,
I think we should do it
How
right.
long is the process?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. How long? I'm sorry, go ahead, Linda.
I mean, I can tell you, I've had experience with recruitment. I used to run a human resources function, and because you don't know the quality of the applicants and the number of applicants that you're going to get, I think the earlier you start, the better. It takes time. It takes time to
It does.
go through the resumes. It takes time to set up an interview schedule for people you're interested in, contacting them, finding a date that works for everybody. We still don't know what the process is with the personnel committee, if they are going to want to interview people. I don't really, so
Yeah.
I
The
think,
personnel
I'll email
committee will,
Kristen tomorrow.
the personnel committee won't be involved in interviewing people.
that makes it,
Yeah, that's
I'll
completely
be
up
right back.
to,
but also might have a minimum, you know, that it has to be posted for at least a certain amount of time, you know.
yes, yeah,
And
yeah.
so they'll tell us what that is.
exactly, yeah,
I think the earlier we get started with this, the better.
yes. And the
And
other place it will be posted is obviously on the town website.
right.
But once you have the posting approved, they can do that for you.
Do you know, Bob, do you know what the market's like? Like, are there a lot of librarians out there, or are they really hard to find?
There
I mean,
aren't too many director positions that are open right now,
okay, that's good.
but you know, there are a lot of people that will be retiring, so. But yeah, I mean, I was surprised. I only saw a few positions.
Good.
So I
That's
didn't
good.
see a lot.
Then there's less competition.
Right.
Yeah,
Look,
well, yeah, it's interesting because you know, our town is very small, so it really just depends.
and I would assume we'd have to put the pay rate in. These are the questions we need. to
Yes,
find out from the
yeah.
town.
It's usually it's all done by grade and step. So the director position is at
Oh,
a
right.
certain grade, and you start obviously with the beginning if it's a first time director or something like that, all the way up to how many years of experience they may have had. But
And
yeah, I can help you with
That's the
that.
rate.
Thank
Some
you.
positions as for the one I sent you said exactly what the pay was per hour. But
Mhm.
usually there's a range.
Right.
I would say it's better to have the range in there. Yeah.
So maybe it would be helpful, Lynette, you're going to talk with the town administrator, right?
Yes.
So maybe we could, so there's some questions. So how long should postings, what's the minimum amount of time for the posting?
Mhm.
Who sets the rate of pay? You know, I mean, you know,
It's usually the personnel committee that does that.
right, okay.
So
So,
you can make an offer, the market rate. You can research the market rate for the position. But the personnel committee do decide, you know, whether it's kind of inbounds or out of bounds or whatever.
so the job has some sort of a level, you mentioned?
Yes.
Bob? Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
every town person does.
Yeah.
Within
So
that-
the town has a level. It's based on a grade and step that goes up to, I think, 10 different grades and 10 different steps.
Right. So we need
And,
to know what the range.
But what people pay out in the real world, the market rate is something that the personnel committee look into just to determine, okay, is this person in the range of where they should be?
So there's a range.
Yes,
Then you have an applicant who fits in that range somewhere, depending on how much experience they have. Is that how it works? Or does everyone always start,
yes.
no matter what, at the same place?
No, it's based on experience. So, I mean, if it was a new person who had never been a director, then it's likely you're going to start them lower. But they may have tons of experience outside of, maybe they've been an assistant director. You know,
Right.
there's so many different scenarios that could happen. Yeah.
Right. The personnel committee would be the ones that would determine that rate. Is that what you're saying?
I'll ask Kristen.
Well, yes and no. I think you can determine it, and just wait to see if they accept it or not. You know,
Mhm.
that's the way, I mean, I don't know if that's the ideal way to work it, but that's the way that it has worked since I've been here.
I
I'll
know
ask
that,
Kristen.
I give them the rate that the staff, the rate that I think they're, should be at. And I leave it to the personnel committee to tell me whether they think that's fair or not.
And I know
We-
nowadays, I don't know about jobs like yours, but a lot of jobs, if you go to apply at jobs, are asking for salary requirements. Like, what are
Yes.
your salary requirements? So I'm sure that that will play a little bit into with the resumes and such, right? I would think.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why it's good to have the range. So it could fall anywhere in here. It just depends who you are or what your experience is and
Right.
so forth.
Right.
Okay,
And-
so we could ask about that, ask her, how does
Yeah.
that work? What's the process for setting a rate of pay? What should be in the posting? How long should the posting go up for? What other things do we want to ask her about the process? At what point does the personnel committee get involved? Is there any, like, what's
Yeah,
our,
like, who's involved in the interview process?
right? And
Yeah, I
what's,
was wondering, are we the ones that are doing this?
It's
or?
it's you people. It's
Okay,
the three of
that's what I
you
thought.
who do the interview.
Okay.
I
I'm
mean,
assuming,
you're elected, and that's
Mhm.
one of your primary things is to hire a new director.
Mhm.
Okay.
now, would Kristen be involved? Like, would she be here? Because when you were
No.
hired, we didn't have a town administrator.
That's right. No, she wouldn't be there. I mean, it's completely up to you to set up the interviews and proceed with them. There are, in one of the links I sent you is the trustees handbook, and there's a whole section on the director search.
Yeah. Okay.
So they
Yeah, I saw
have
that.
everything from typical interview questions you would ask.
I want to make sure that they're as resourceful as you.
Well,
Right?
I'm sure there will be at least.
That's my main question right now.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
impossible for us to
I
hire
know.
anyone. We're never gonna find
Yeah.
anybody as good as Bob.
Right?
Oh, no. I mean, well, you wouldn't believe some of the interview questions I was asked when I started. But
I'm not above
Can you
chaining
read?
to that desk.
yeah, well, one of them was, "Are you handy?"
I remember you saying that.
Yeah. I said, "Please don't ask my wife that question." Yeah.
That's a great answer.
But I mean, it was in reference to, things break around the library. Are you going to be able to put your finger in the dike until a professional can arrive? Or,
Right.
yeah.
so you mentioned a book, Bob, so that book we can get through the,
I sent you a link to it. It's online,
yeah,
The trustee handbook.
trustee handbook. And I believe the director stuff starts on page 69.
Yeah.
And it'll just walk you through the steps.
so we should each, maybe the trustees, we should all agree that before the next meeting, we'll all read that and get
Yeah.
familiar with it.
Yeah.
Maybe come up with some questions just to start off.
Yeah.
Just a few
Well,
questions and
do
then
we
work together.
want- To get this posted before the next meeting.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll
Yeah.
email Kristen tomorrow with the questions we've come up with. And get that process started.
Mhm.
I can suggest some questions to you
Okay.
Again, so
regarding
resourceful.
regarding their experience,
Hmm.
because
Oh, not if they're handy?
well, no, that's probably not a priority. But yeah, you can ask them that if you want, and just to see what see the look on their face. But whether
How good are
they,
you with a hammer?
yeah. Yeah, we don't care if you know anything about, library networks or anything like that. We just want to know if you can fix a leak here and there.
So-
Get rid of bees. How about the yellow jackets? Yeah.
Right? Go ahead, Linda.
I've got another question to ask about the process, and that is, where do the resumes go? Like,
Ooh, nice.
You can
nice
just
question.
have them sent to the chairman, I would say. You could have them sent here to the library, addressed to the chairman of the library trustees.
No, I think they should go to Lynette. I'm just thinking about confidentiality.
Yeah,
People apply for jobs, sometimes they don't want their employers to know if somebody sees it, and you know how.
right.
Yeah.
So I
Um,
Right.
think that's okay with you, Lynette. I mean, I think they
Yeah.
should place
Yeah.
and
That's fine, yeah.
Good call, Linda.
And you make it, I mean, I usually have people send them to me here at the library for the staff ones,
Mhm.
but occasionally people will send them to the town and they get relayed to me. But
Mhm.
most people know that,
Well, it would be in the posting, right?
I would
Send
think,
resumes.
yes, you put it
to-
in the posting, yes.
Right.
But it's also posted on the town website. And we do have a library email address in there. So,
Okay.
I mean, hopefully people will send it to whatever address is in the posting.
Okay.
But
Okay.
that address, you might want to make sure that that is part of the town, when the town posts the same posting, that information is there.
All right.
so
And they'll just, I mean, in most cases, they're not going to mail it to you. They're going to email it.
Right.
Right.
They can email, but if some people do send it in the mail occasionally. And they can just address it to whomever.
Okay.
Usually it would be the chairman of the trustees.
Okay.
So it's going to be posted on the town website, and the MBLC
Jobs list.
job list, is that what it's called? I'm
Yeah.
just for the minutes.
Yeah, there's a link to it in the emails.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can look it over. And
Yeah.
it's very simple. You can just go in there and you can edit it. You can just post it. Doesn't cost anything.
Mhm.
Okay.
And people will see it there for sure.
Library people.
Yes, library people will see
Hopefully,
it.
people that are looking for a job at a library will be on the
Yes.
MBLC website.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, for a couple of years, I looked at that site every day.
Oh,
So,
oh, boy.
So,
Glad you didn't find anything.
yeah, well, I tried.
do you have another question, Linda?
yeah, just for the minutes. So, Lynette, you're going to talk with Kristen, ask those questions, and then did you say that you would put together a posting or that we could take a look at, or do?
Yeah, I'll talk to Kristen and get all the information that needs to be in the posting. And then I will, show you guys, make sure we're all in agreement on it, and then send it to personnel committee and make sure they approve it.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
Does anybody have any more questions about the job posting retirement?
Yeah, I mean,
So-
at their next,
I can send to you, or you can ask Kristen or the personnel committee. So this is, well, you probably can't see this at all, but
Nope.
anyway.
It looks like a white piece of paper.
Yeah, this is, we get this every year when we do our budget for personnel. It includes the cost of living increase for each year. So we
Yeah.
have, in this town, we have 10 grades. The library director position is a grade 10. And I'm at step 10 out of 12 steps. So that's when you post a job, you would say that it's a grade 10 and that it's, the salary is hourly in steps
All
from
right.
step 1
Fine.
at this amount to step 12 at this amount. So that would give the whole range. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Can you send me a copy of that, Bob?
Yeah, and this should be on the town website too. All of the, when you finally do offer the job to someone and they accept it, all the forms are online. The person will also have to take a physical to say that shows that they have the physical capacity to do all the requirements of the job. That's a new thing last year.
Okay. Linda?
Did you say it's an hourly job,
Yes.
Yeah, they get paid hourly.
paid by the hour?
Yeah.
Paid by the hour, yes.
Really?
33 hours per week.
Yeah, I would think it
For
would be.
some reason, it's 33.5, but we're open 33 hours a week.
Okay. So if for some reason you had to work more than that and you worked more than 40, you'd get paid overtime then.
No.
Then you're not an hourly employee.
Well, yes, I guess that's true. I guess that's true. I don't know.
But it would,
I don't budget for that. So,
because it would never happen. I'm surprised because usually this would be considered a professional level position. It's a management position and it doesn't
Right.
have to be hourly. But I guess it doesn't matter if
Yeah.
you don't work more than 40 hours. You're not going to get paid overtime anyway.
The
yeah,
building's not open.
I
more
could
than
I
40
could probably
hours.
explain all that, but it would take a little while. As to why I think that the town did it this way.
I was just surprised. Normally you see a job like this, it's a salaried position, but
Yeah.
It-
Exempt. Yeah.
I was
So
just,
Lynette,
yeah.
maybe that's something that we should check into also with Kristen, if that's something they may think about changing
Yeah.
when the new person comes in.
I think
Yeah,
the personnel committee is gonna
Yeah.
do whatever, however they're gonna do it.
Okay.
I'm
Right.
I
curious,
don't
'cause-
think they're gonna change it.
Yeah,
The building's not open that much.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Well,
But, I mean,
the bottom,
I
the
always-
bottom line is, for a
Yeah.
town our size, we're actually only required to be open 15 hours a week to be certified. Yes.
Don't tell anybody that.
Yeah. So when people say, oh, I wish you were open more hours in the evening, and I wish this and I wish that, I
Yeah.
want to say to them, well, actually, we're open more than twice as many hours as we're required to
Wow.
be. But yeah, it's not a great selling point, but
Well-
it's the truth that the town has to that extent, I think, because it's going to be very hard to hire a library director who only can work 15 hours a week, So I think they've tried different staffing here over the years. They used to combine children's, and the director were actually worked about the same amount of hours. It was like a job split.
Mhm.
But I think they finally realized that if they're going to hire a director to oversee things, then they're going to have to offer, some more hours. So they have been supportive in that respect. But we're surrounded by towns that are larger than us and are open a lot more hours. So we're not a lot more hours, but more hours than we are.
Right.
Yeah.
So real quick before we run out of time, does anybody else have any pressing questions about this?
the
No.
director position, no.
Okay.
I think we're good.
In terms of Linda has given her notice that she's not gonna renew her term, so her term's up in May. What is the process for getting a new trustee? Is that,
But we can advertise.
usually, I know
that we're
usually
looking.
with you, it's been word of mouth. Like,
Yeah.
you've
Well,
kind of been.
I usually put something on the town website, and also here in the library, I'll put up a flyer that says, that talks about what trustees do and that we're looking for someone. I mean, with Linda, it was kind of like, I knew that she had done some volunteering in the children's room
Mm,
with Sarah.
and the friends too.
I happened to see you one day walking with your husband, and I go, what about Linda? So I asked Sarah, I said, well, do you think that she would have any interest? And Sarah said, oh, you should definitely ask her. So that's just how it happened.
Yeah,
So
I know, you
sometimes I
asked
have
me.
someone in mind, and sometimes it's just,
yeah.
pretty much anyone who walks through the door is a potential trustee to me.
Right.
That was me. That was me.
Beth got volunteered.
Linda,
Usually someone gets volunteered.
Yep.
go ahead,
Question
Linda.
is, how do we, I mean, we'll get the word out through the website and through the, if you have a flyer in the
Right.
library, but I'm just wondering, is there any other do we do social, there's no real social media, or I'm just trying to
No,
think.
I
There's a
can post
town
it on
Facebook
the,
page.
yeah, the Berlin Neighbors Facebook page.
There's a
Yeah.
town Facebook page. The library has a Facebook page and an Instagram.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Usually in the flyer, I will put links to, you know, what trustees actually do. So what people
Yeah.
want to know, like what's expected of me, you know,
Yeah.
as a trustee.
So can we get it on social media too then? I'm just
Yeah.
thinking about how do we, you know, and maybe the friends, are the friends meeting regularly, maybe the friends, you know.
Yeah, well, I'll be meeting with them on the 25th.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Let the friends,
I'll
Yeah,
put this in
Mention
my
it to
report.
them.
so that they can be thinking about it as well.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
I don't know what the deadline is for getting somebody's name on the ballot.
Mhm.
Right.
Bob, do you know what the deadline is for that?
I can
do.
ask Kristen in my email too tomorrow.
Okay,
Yeah.
Town meeting this year, I believe, is on May 1st.
so what's the
And then
deadline
the
Okay.
election is usually a week after.
for the ballot? Putting the
Yeah,
name-
If you don't get
added
on the
that
ballot, yeah, then you can
to my
just,
notes.
So
you
you'll
have
ask,
to get
you'll
signatures.
ask Kristen. How do you spell her names? Kristin?
It is TIN, yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right, yeah, because I think the more word we can get out, the better, you know, and I think it's gonna be really important. And the other thing that I'm just wondering too, that we could think about is, should we have another trustee, like maybe two? I'm just thinking about, you know, we're gonna be, you know, dealing with a new director. We're gonna, you know, we're gonna be talking about our space issues and potentially, I don't know, raising money for an addition or whatever it is we decide we're gonna be doing.
Mhm.
It might be,
I think it's possible for you to have someone join your search committee.
Yeah, I'll ask
I think
Kristen
it's,
too
if
about
you
the
look in
number.
through the trustee handbook material
I
I
was just
sent
gonna
you,
say,
I think you can form like a search committee if you want. You could, you know, recruit some others to help.
right, but I mean, and that would be helpful, I think, during the search process, but I'm also thinking just in terms of the future,
Yeah.
whether.
Well, it's set by, there's a provision in the state law that sets number of trustees. So we used to have 6 trustees in Berlin.
I was just gonna ask you how many like we have to have or don't,
Yeah.
you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
I'll
Like, what
check
is the
with-
limit?
I
But
can
it's,
check.
I
with
think it's a
Kristen.
bylaw or something like that of the town.
Okay. Okay.
I've forgotten the process now,
Check
But-
out, because,
but it is a set number and it, you know, you can't just willy-nilly add people. It has to
Right.
be a
Right.
process to,
Yep.
yeah. But
right,
you can always recruit people as part of a committee or whatever.
right, but I'm thinking just in terms of the future, having more than 3 would probably not be a bad idea. I mean,
Right.
if somebody got sick or, you know, couldn't come to the meetings or whatever, then there's only 2 people.
Yeah. It's
Nice.
not a bad idea till you go out and try to recruit more people. Get 'em.
True.
And I mean, more hands.
Yeah,
make-
you're right, Linda. It would be better if we had even 6.
Right.
Some towns have like a dozen,
Maybe we
which I
start
think is a
4
little.
and, you know, we go up to 4 and then we see how that works. And I don't know, I'm just thinking that.
I
it might-
don't know if it can be 4.
It can't be an even number,
I
right?
was gonna say, doesn't it have to be
Uh,
an odd number?
But 6
It
isn't.
doesn't have to be, but I don't know.
6
Then-
is.
How would you?
Let
vote?
me look
You
at
have
the
to
rules
find a way to
for.
break a tie vote.
I was gonna
Yes,
say, you need your
right.
You have to have a
tiebreaker
good
vote.
number.
Yeah, I will, I can research
I'll
that a
ask
little bit.
Kristen.
Okay,
Kristen, she may or may not know,
okay,
but
so maybe you could both look into, Bob, you could ask, we'll research that.
the number of trustees, yeah.
Thought, you know, for the future. And I'm thinking if we have more than one really good name, why not,
Right.
you
right.
know,
Yeah.
Mhm.
on 2?
Well, right now we're set at 3, so it would be a process to change that.
Yeah.
That's all I can tell you for sure right now.
There'd be a
Yeah,
process.
I don't remember what the process is
Okay,
off the top of my head, but
okay, and so will you research that too, Bob?
sure, I will. I'll send you any information I can come up
Okay.
with.
That'd be great.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Very helpful. Is that it? Is our time up?
It's close.
I think so.
Anything else?
I was just gonna say, do we have anything else?
I don't think
Time to
so.
retire for the evening.
All right. So our next meeting is going to be February 21st
6 PM.
at 6 PM on Zoom.
Okay, good. Thank you. I just, I was thinking about it today. I was driving over and I was driving home and I'm like, supposed to go to the library? Or are we on Zoom?
No, it was on Zoom.
We had our financial committee meeting was in person. So
Yes.
that was the first
Yes.
time in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some of them are starting to go back to in person, so that's why I wasn't sure.
All right. Anything else from anyone?
No, I think I'm all
I
set.
will move to adjourn.
Okay,
I'll
I'll
s-
Roll call vote to adjourn. Lynette Wheeler, yes. Beth Christensen,
Yes.
Linda Yates.
Yes.
All right, meeting adjourned at 6:59 PM.